it now. In prayer. Say that. In prayer. In prayer. What peace we have. In prayer. What comfort we have. In prayer. What joy we have. In prayer. I'll supply your needs. In prayer. I'll supply your needs. In prayer. There's nothing lacking. There's nothing missing. Hey, there's nothing lacking. There's nothing missing. Say, take it to the Lord. In prayer. Take it to the Lord. In prayer. Say, take it to the Lord. In prayer. Take it to the Lord. Yes.
And God heard Israel's cry. And he sent Moses to Pharaoh to tell him to let my people go. Sometimes the Pharaoh inside of you is the one that's holding you. Anger, bitterness, self-doubt. Don't you think it's time that you tell your Pharaoh to let you go? Your cry has been heard.
All right. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in. We are so excited to just create a space here to just have a conversation about our education system and all that we're up against. Listen, if you're anything like the Tate household, if you're a parent of school age kids, this is a season of really establishing classrooms in our house, getting desks and building stuff up. So it's been a time, and if we're not careful, this season can be marked by anxiety, marked by stress, marked by worry. And we really want to come alongside families in this season to try to minimize that as much as possible. And one of the ways of doing that is just inundating us with communication, education, and understanding about what we can be doing, how we can be showing up in this season, and most of all, how we can be caring and serving one another in this season, so that we can all navigate it together. Because my hope and my prayer is that this season isn't marked by anxiety, isn't marked by stress or worry, but marked by moments where we were able to come together as families, as communities, as neighborhoods, all come together and push our kids to greatness. And that is our hope. So, called a couple of friends that have given their life to education and impacting young people. They've been doing this for many years. Our superintendent of schools here in Monrovia, over the years, has become a great friend. We've been able to partner together and do a lot of great work together in our neighborhood, in our community. I would love to welcome to our town hall, Dr. Kathy P., as I love to call her. Dr. Kathy, how you doing?
I'm doing well, Albert. How are you?
Good. And I saw we have the board president. How lucky are we? We got the board president, Brother Rob Hammond. Rob, how you doing? Can you hear me? Rob, I'm not sure if he can hear me. We've been trying to work out some.
I'm catching a little bit by a little bit there.
Oh, there we go. I think I'm just on a delay. I'm not used to this. Like on Good Morning America, sometimes they just talk on a delay. So you'll hear what I say maybe 30 seconds later. So I'll give you a little time to respond. Maybe the delay is longer than I thought. Dr. T, superintendent of schools. I don't know. We've never been here before. We've never seen anything like this before. This is something brand new. First thing I want to ask is, how are you doing? You're navigating a lot. How are you doing in this season?
It is a lot, Albert, and we are so fortunate to be in Monrovia, where we have an entire community dedicated to serving its students and trying to make the best of every situation. It has been quite a journey for me personally. I've never experienced anything like this, and I've been in education for 35 years at this point. And this is the most unique situation I've ever encountered, and for the longest duration, with the greatest number of transitions and changes over time. It's been a marathon. And I will say that Monrovia's children are fortunate to have first a leadership like the Board of Education, as well as great people, some of whom you'll meet today.
Thank you so much, Dr. T. Go ahead.
No problem. I was going to say we found some great opportunities throughout this new normal, and I wanted to share with you that your daughters have some skills. I'd love them in their musical performance.
Yes. You guys have found some creative ways to show up in this season. They did a whole online production, virtual production, and my kids had laptops and was dancing in front of cameras all summer. And it was an amazing, innovative way to keep our kids engaged in this season. So I appreciate the innovation. I appreciate you guys not stopping and keeping resilient and pursuing to make sure that our kids are engaged. What's the process been like? We lost Rob, the board president. Number one, I'm just so thankful that he was just willing to jump on and be a part of this. That's just a big deal. from your seat in your interaction with the board, what's that process been like with the board in this season? How have you guys been thinking about caring for students, caring for parents, holding academic excellence? What's it like in y'all's world? Because most of us have no idea what it's like to be a school superintendent or on the board of education. Like that, we have no idea what your world is like. So give us a little glimpse.
The opportunities and the discussions that we've had have always been focused on, okay, what is the last thing and how can we get ahead of this? And so since March, we've been trying to meet regularly and make the best decisions for our students with the best information and the latest information we have. And that information always comes from the Los Angeles County Department of Public Health, from the CDC, from the California Department of Public Health, from the Los Angeles County Office of Education. We try to look for experts who can help guide us. And my responsibility is to make sure that I do all the research from as many sources as I can, synthesize it, present it to the board, and I make sure that they have as much information as they need so that they can lead the district and make the decisions and tough decisions that are necessary in order to keep our students and our staff members safe. And that's been the guiding principle. They have never said, I'm sorry, I'm too busy to meet. There have been a few times where I've said, you know, I have this information and there's some new developments. Are you available? And like that, we will have either an emergency meeting or a special meeting just to make sure that they have the opportunity to discuss and form the best practice and decision on behalf of our students. That's always been a touchstone.
That's good. That's good. What do you want every parent to know about the work that you guys are doing and the board is doing? If you could talk to every parent and look at them, what would you want to say to every parent in this area?
First, thank you for trusting us with the education of your children. Know that there are a team of experts who are dealing with the same levels of crisis and levels of frustration that you are, and trying to use that knowledge to inform the decisions that we're making on behalf of your children every day. And so one of the guiding principles of the board has been using grace and flexibility in this time of anxiety and the unknown. So as we navigate it, we're going to continue to be as flexible as possible in our approach and offer people a little bit of grace, because we know that everybody is dealing with some issues. Also know that this is not something, we had a meeting with the leadership of the district, and one of the key tenets of it was that there were some really unique opportunities and moments that we experienced as a team just on Zoom. And there are some practices that will not leave us. This is a transformative time, and we are interested not turning back and returning to normal, but using what we've learned to transform education in Monrovia and make it even better.
That's good. And, you know, honestly, that sounds like some of the questions we've even been having at church. How do we allow this new reality to inform our future and how we think about the work that we do even beyond 2020 and this year? Well, if you hang out with us a little while longer, I want to invite Assistant Superintendent Darvin and one of our local elementary teachers, Miss Caroline. Would y'all join us? And y'all welcome them to the chat. Y'all come on here. Dr. Jackson, how you doing, man? Uh-oh, we can't hear Dr. Jackson. Hold on, we can't hear you.
There we are.
Muted? There you go.
Me?
Dr. Jackson, you gotta unmute the thing, man. Come on, you made me nervous.
I'm with you here, Pat.
Pastor Tate. I was saying, I think my family and I are doing as well as we can considering the circumstances. We're persevering and being persistent in our daily lives.
Wow. Now, Miss Badalian, did I get that right? Miss Caroline, she looks like she's frozen. I'm not sure if we have her. Here's the crazy thing. This is something we got to navigate in real time, just internet connections in classrooms and stuff. Caroline, can you hear us? Yeah, I don't think she can hear us. So we'll catch her and hopefully we can get her on to where she could come on here. Dr. Jackson, you've been in education for a long time, man. You've given your life to this work in the education. As parents literally become principals, as they become cafeteria workers, janitors, they are being brought in full time right now. As you think about them facilitating a space for their kids to be able to learn in their homes, any best practices or tips or thoughts or encouragement that you would offer them in this season?
Sure. First, I'd like to say, I'm a parent myself. My wife, as well, is an educator. We've both been in education for over 20 plus years. And I think I can say we can relate to the challenges many, working parents are experiencing and have experienced since March 13th. We have a 4-year-old. He has congenital heart disease, and so we are working through this situation as best we can to provide her with enriching experiences, and still trying to, from March to June, we still tried to maintain as much normalcy as possible. And a 4-year-old loves to interact with kids, and I know many of our friends, many of our community members, who have kids. I know that's the one thing that their kids, are missing is that social interaction. One of the tips that I would share with the parents, one key aspect that we focused on in building the schedules, I was in charge of facilitating the development of the secondary schedules, while my counterpart, Dr. Kaiser, was in charge of facilitating the elementary level schedules. But incorporating that support for the social emotional aspect of a kid, I think we all know that kids are not going to be prepared to learn if they're not prepared to receive that information and they're not comfortable in the setting that they're in. So we have some time dedicated in both our elementary and secondary schedules that focus on that social emotional support, whether it's focusing on coping skills, digital citizenship. They're going to be spending a good amount of time here in this platform. And so, we've talked to our kids about what's appropriate in a personal setting. We need to have that discussion now about what's appropriate in a digital setting. Bullying can still occur, via internet. And so I think it's important to be able to have those discussions, providing the skill sets to develop that peer-to-peer interaction, online as well. I just mentioned, the importance of having that social interaction. This is going to be, our new reality. And so, being able to provide kids those skill sets to function in this type of structure. I think another tip that's important, a lot of the feedback that we received from our parents was that they didn't necessarily have an opportunity to provide the feedback through a communication loop. Dr. Tarosi and I have had this discussion where we said that March to June was just an all-out emergency. We were building the plane. As we were flying, we were putting the wheels on the train as the locomotive was going down the train track. And so we've worked on instituting some additional communication lines. One just through Parent Square. Every parent is going to have access to have two-way interaction with their teachers and/or administrators, whether at the site or at the district office. I think Dr. Tarosian, just in the last couple of months, has been providing weekly, if not every other day, communications to the community to keep them involved and abreast of new developments. And I think, this is a fluid situation.
Very fluid.
One day we can come back to school. The next day we've got a board that's faced with the decision to make a determination if we're going to 100% distance learning. I would encourage our parents, community members to take the opportunity to reach out to teachers. They have office hours built in to their schedules. And of course, there's always email. We've asked and our staff members have risen to the occasion and they want to be able to respond.
Uh-oh, did we lose Darvin?
Oh,
there we go.
No, there's significant amount of resources here in the Monrovia community. We not only have our counselors, our school psychologists. We're partnering with local universities to have them provide us with social workers. They're providing us with additional resources through counseling. And then I think we have DeVille, 5 Acres. I mean, just a wealth of health organizations here in the Monrovia community, whereby if you're reaching out to any one of our key staff members and having those conversations, I would say don't hesitate to get in contact with one of our staff members, because we're going to point them in the right direction.
So it sounds like you guys have got resources readily accessible for us to reach out. And I assume, I know you guys are only speaking on behalf of one district, but we've got folks listening and they're in school districts all across this region and some even across the country that are listening out. Man, as kids are on Zoom, how should parents engage Zoom? Like, should we kind of police our kids while they're on Zoom? Should we stick our head in the class and make sure they're paying attention and call them in? Like, what's parent etiquette in this new format of education?
So, this is going to be a transition, if you will. I think I mentioned early on about digital citizenship. We've been longstanding partners and with our parents, and so it's kind of like when you drop your kid off for kindergarten. Every parent wants to hang around and just make sure their kid is safe. And I think it's going to be okay to ensure whether their kid is a TK or a pre-K kid or even a 12th grader. We want to ensure that we've ushered our student off into a land of where they can be successful. Those first couple of days, I think we just want to ensure that they're engaged, that they're being appropriate, that they're attentive to what's going on. And I think, proximity is powerful. You can be Pastor Tate within 6 to 10 feet of your kid, and they know what the expectation is. I don't think they need you or our board director from the Boys and Girls Club. I know he's a parent of ours, Mr. John Wilson. I think we all know you don't need to have your head in the camera. that look, those eyebrows raising. I think those are the subtle communications and the relationships that you have with your kids that you can strongly encourage them without necessarily walking through the camera. I think you have to understand that there may be 20 to 30 other kids on that camera as well. That parent could serve as a distraction. And I think for our teachers and our support staff who are going to be on that camera, this is a new platform. And so as fewer distractions as possible, I think is going to be important.
Dr. Jackson, when we think about supporting teachers, like back in a normal school year, we'd be getting needs lists from teachers. We'd be doing backpack drives for students to get backpacks and paper and stuff like that. To be honest, those of us that have been serving teachers for years, it's been pretty clear. Like, there are teachers that we get their list every year, and we do that. Even as a church, we've always wanted to make sure that we support teachers in helping to provide what they need. What does that look like this year? Like, what kind of help do teachers need, and how can we serve the district? And I don't know if we have Dr. T. Let's bring Dr. T back on, and let's let her engage in this with Dr. Jackson. The community's here, the community's watching, there are churches, there are other organizations. How can we help y'all? Man, we see that this has been a challenging season. We see that there's just a lot you guys are doing. How can we help? I'd love to hear from you. And Dr. T, if you want to contribute to that, let's bring her back on as well. It's funny, with our technology, we're just trying to figure it out. This is the first of several times we'll do this, but it seems like we bring on two, and then somebody slowly gets voted off the island. So Rob having it, then Carolyn slowly. Hopefully Dr. T made the cut and she can come back on. But Dr. Jackson, how can we help?
Well, it's sad that Caroline's not on with us, because it would be great to hear from someone who, as I would say, is in the trenches. But I'll put on my hat, having served as a special education teacher for several years. I would say to parents, just because they can't traditionally come to the school in the manner that they have, I know teachers will retain the same type of requests that they've sought each year, as far as the donations, whether it's the pencils, the paper, the erasers, the support that they brought to the classroom. The olive branch is still there. It's just a little bit longer right now. So I think we will. We're instituting some plans. We've been following the guidance of the county health department. Designating times where parents can drop things off. I think I mentioned the Parent Square, so I know teachers are going to be reaching out to parents and through that medium to say, hey, we're still here. We still have needs. We need your support, and utilize that methodology. Dr. T?
Can we pull up Dr. T?
Whether or not you do, actually, thank you.
There you go.
Thank you. And doesn't Dr. Jackson do an amazing job? We are so fortunate to have him. I have come to love this man. He's a rock star. I think Caroline Medallion would do a great job in just explaining what the classroom will be like and what she anticipates. And she might not be able to hear us, but do you think we could bring her on and I could text her and ask her to just respond to the question of what the day is?
That'll be great. Let's bring her on.
Part of great flexibility here.
Oh yeah, we rocking and rolling over here. We, Oprah don't quite have these problems, but we working it out. This is good. While we're doing that, I want to bring up, let's get John Wilson set up, John DeCure. Let's bring them on, and let's hear a little bit about John Wilson is the executive director of the Boys and Girls Club, and they're on the front line providing support to our students and families. And so is John DeCure. He's the program director at Harambe Ministry there in Northwest Pasadena. These are two huge partners of ours. Of course, Harambe, I work there as the executive director, and we've been partnering together. The Boys and Girls Club, we go back years, been partnered together. They're probably one of our longest partners here in Monrovia. Guys, much like the educators, you're on the front line with families and students. John Wilson, tell me about how you guys are gearing up and what you're doing to come alongside families and students during this time.
Yeah, thank you, Albert, for the opportunity. It's been a very interesting season for all of us, as you've heard along the way. When we closed on March 13th, like everybody else, we jumped online with all of our kids and ran science programs, arts and crafts, cooking, recreation, fitness. We had story time, family game nights, and we even had reading programs for kids who were behind in their reading, and we kept our tutoring program going. And now we've been able to transition to live programming again in small group pods that stay together with the same adult. And that's really going to be the structure that we move into this fall. Is these smaller pods of kids that will do their distance learning, but they'll do it in our space. You know, we have families that the parents' work schedules may not allow for their kids to have a safe and structured place to do their learning. We have families who the home environment is not conducive to the distance learning model. They might it might be more chaotic, or they don't have the structure in place. So we have a lot of kids who need a safe and structured environment, and so we're going to be providing that, starting off at our local sites. And we've got a great partnership with Monrovia Unified School District, and the goal is to bring those pods onto the school campuses as well, in order to meet the great need that we anticipate will be there for families who need this kind of structure. In addition, we're going to be doing our after-school programming as well. So we'll have some kids that are with us from 8 in the morning until 6 at night, whereas others might just need distance learning, and there might be some that just need the after-school care. But we're working our best to meet the needs of those kids who need us most, and partnering with Kathy and Darvin and all the others from Monrovia Unified. I think we have a good plan moving ahead at this point, but it's taken a lot there to get there. As Darvin mentioned, putting the plane together while you're flying is a lot of fun in some ways.
Wow. Yeah. John DeCure, tell me about what's happening over at Harambe.
Yes, sir. One of the things that we have been excited about at Harambe is just the opportunity to bring our HPA program, which is what we were doing before, Harambe Performing Arts, and we've done quite a bit in the last year, but we wanted to expand it for this school year, because one of the issues that we see, like we've already heard, is that here in our neighborhood, some of the parents some of them don't have access to viable internet. So with everything going to distant learning here in Pasadena, in our district, in PUS,
I think we lost to John Freeze. I think we lost John. I think one of the things, Wilson, we were talking about this earlier, what John DeCure was, I think, talking about was the reality of viable internet, access to being able to engage the schools and homework and teachers and that kind of stuff. So one of the big things Harambe is doing is creating tutors and mentors to come alongside and to help with homework, with education, but also kind of advocating for parents that don't know how to use technology, especially equipping and training for parents to be able to engage and use technology. Not only that, but for the parents that are working that don't have time to do the follow-up, to go into the portal, to see the homework assignments, to see what's due, to see what hasn't been done, having ambassadors that can, on behalf of the kids, engage even in the accountability, just to really make sure that in this year of challenging times that we don't lose a generation academically, because that's a big concern of ours, John. What about you?
Yeah, I completely agree. There's a great concern about the learning loss element in all of this. And I know that Kathy and Darvin and others at MUSC have the same concern. We have, as well as Harambe, you know, we've talked about Harambe, we as well have a very robust tutoring program, but we've transferred that whole thing online.
Yeah.
And I love the idea of having advocates, volunteers who come alongside young people to make sure that they're on track, and you know, ensuring that they're getting those things done. That's a big role that we play, and it's a big role that we've used volunteers for in the past as well. And but the medium has changed, right? We can't do that in person. It needs to be online. And so it adds some challenges, but it also creates some opportunities. As you and I were talking earlier, because we're doing so many things online now, you don't necessarily need to be in Monrovia to work with a Monrovia kid. You could be in New York and connect on Zoom, and you're having a chance to have an impact in a young person's life. You could be, you know, in Chicago and connect with a kid at Harambe, and you know, that's actually a really exciting part of this. That there's some possibilities here. That you know, it's not just all bad news. There's some interesting opportunities as well through all of this.
Yeah, that's really exciting. There's some we got a line we use. I'm not even sure if I like it or not, but it's something that we call Corona fruit. There's some fruit that's come out of this devastating thing that's unexpected and actually helpful. We're becoming more globalized. We're becoming more innovative. We're imagining ways to actually get more resources and better access through virtual technology that we would have never considered before. But even with that, it's challenging. It's exposing some of the gaps in capacity with internet, with computers and technology. So it's kind of exposing some of the gaps. John DeCure, you were talking about that earlier, about some of the gaps with technology and how this is exposing kind of like the disparities between communities. Everybody ain't got it the same way.
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things that I'm not sure how much of that y'all heard before I got kicked out, but one of the things that we have processed is that what does it mean for our parents and our community? What does it mean for them to actually be able to go on the because that 1% distant learning, especially in our district, what's happening is that our parents now who quite frankly some of them weren't even checking the portals to begin with when it was live. Now they're having to go on the computer and everything is there, like the homework, the assignments, everything. So what does it mean now for us, for Harambe now, to how do we address this issue? So what we're doing is we have a program that we are starting on the 31st called Bridging the Gap. And this is where we actually are coming alongside parents and like 100% support, where we actually walk them through what does it mean to go on and check. We'll be actually going alongside them, helping them check it. It's actually a very hands-on approach. We have advocates for every 5 students that we have, and we're excited about that, man. We're just pushing forward on that. So we're taking them from 100% participation and support, and hopefully moving them to 20%. By the end of it, our hope is that all of our parents will online, you know, all those different things, returning emails to teachers, addressing teachers, but we're going to walk them through what it means to do that exactly.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. Well, do we have Caroline? While we're setting that up, John and John, y'all stick around. We're gonna ask some questions, and can we get Darvin and Dr. T available? Stephanie, do we have any questions? I've got Stephanie over here. She's looking at the feed and seeing if we have any questions from any parents. Dr. T, Dr. Jackson, did you hear that question? Could you hear it? How are you guys addressing the unique challenges with kids with special needs?
Darvin, do you want to take that as somebody who is living it?
Sure. So our director of special education, Jennifer Johnson, She's been working with a cohort of staff members initially to start crafting the logistics of services that would be provided in this 100% distance learning environment. Today, they actually expanded their cohort of people to include parents to provide insight in developing that structure of how services would be delivered. From the services standpoint, I can start there. Parents are going to be given the opportunity to make a decision as to, do they want to have specific services such as physical therapy or occupational therapy, speech, adaptive PE, etc., in person or virtually. I've had the opportunity over the course of this summer to be there for my daughter through her virtual therapy sessions. Not everybody would have that as a choice, but I felt that it was in our best interest to do so. Even this week, we had virtual therapies Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. And what I can say is the staff has been very flexible and with us as parents, knowing our working schedules in the sense that we're here serving the district and the community as well. And so I can speak firsthand to the quality of service that's been provided from the district, and then the flexibility. And I think that's one of the key tenets that we've tried to build these schedules on, just as the communications came through the parent surveys, was flexibility. They are in the final stages of creating the distance learning structure. They needed to wait to see what the overall picture was going to look like for the structure for all students, and then be able to build in the infrastructure to be able to meet the needs of the individual education plan and the instructional minutes that are required. So I think the other thing that people should know, parents should know of special needs students, we're working on a plan to be able to provide some of those in-person assessments, as long as we have the social distancing guidelines, the protective gear in place that allows our experts to be able to conduct, assessments and things of that nature, so that students are placed appropriately. And then finally, I think, again, I alluded to the fact that they're just in their final stages of setting up the structures for the academic aspect, so that we can ensure that our students are receiving the same access to curriculum as a general education student would.
That's good. Thank you so much, Dr. Jackson. Dr. T, is Caroline, can you text her and just have her start talking? While we're doing that, I'll grab another question, and when she starts talking, we'll just let her go. What's another question that we have, Stephanie? Okay. I think she's muted. She's muted.
Yeah, I just told her that she's muted.
Okay.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, perfect.
Okay. Am I on? Yes. Okay. Hi, I'm Caroline Badalian. I'm a kindergarten teacher at Mayflower. I'm sorry I missed the entire conversation. I wish I had a chance to hear what you had to say so that I could provide the feedback. I hope what I have to say is relevant to the conversation. As far as I know, I've been asked to speak about a little bit about daily expectations, what we're doing in the classroom, and a little bit about best practices and just getting parent involvement. If that's correct, I think I'll just kind of go through the daily schedule. So what we're planning on doing all of the teachers, I think the main goal for distance learning is to mimic a real life classroom as possible. So from the get-go, starting off the day just like we would in a real classroom setting with whole class, morning meeting, and having the children involved in that process. So what it would look like in kindergarten, for example, would be like morning meeting rug time. And so we're going to do our best to have that same environment in a Zoom setting. So the children would come in, we would sing our morning song, do the calendar, and throughout the whole time, making sure that there is time on both ends. So it's not just one way. The kids will not just be sitting in front of a screen the whole time. We're having actively participating, using their whiteboards to hold up words and whatever it is that we're doing to participate and show us that they're engaged. So that's going to happen in the morning, and then we want to easily transition to the core curriculum after morning meeting. But keeping in mind that we need to have brain breaks, we need to have movement, so we're also incorporating that into our Zoom sessions with stretch breaks, brain breaks, go noodle, so the kids can move around and feel like there's some sort of normalcy with transition, just like we would do in a normal classroom setting. So after that would be our morning recess, our break, where we all actually even stay logged into Zoom, these technologies that we're working with for kindergarten, so they don't have to keep logging in and out of Zoom. They can stay logged in, shark their computers, take a little snack break. When they come back, we're back to a new curriculum. It could be language arts or math. And once again, it will be very active. It won't be teacher, teaching in front of a screen and the child is sitting the entire time. We've already prepared a lot of materials that are going home with each child so that they can use manipulatives and actively with us. And so that along the way, we could assess just like we would in a classroom setting. So whatever it is that they're doing, they would hold up and show us, just like they would with whiteboards on the rug in class. And we could check off a checklist, and that way we're monitoring. And even more so when we transition into a small group setting. So that is planned every day to meet with small group and have even more one-on-one instruction where we can monitor and assess and accommodate and scaffold our teaching. It's part of, and I hope a lot of this will make sense as far as best practices. That's the absolute priority, is to make sure that along the way, whatever best practices we in our classroom setting, we're also implementing via distance learning. So we're definitely going to be doing that and scaffolding along the way and tailoring our lessons as we go. Once we get our baseline assessments down and we know what our small groups are going to look like, we can tailor our instruction even more so. And then breaking for lunch. I'm just going through the schedule. Break for lunch, coming back again for the third session, which will again include some sort of small group and or whole group instruction. Same format as we did for the 2 morning sessions. We could definitely include small groups or keep it whole group to be fluid until each school, each site gets a feel for how they want to implement their day. But above all this, the number one thing, I think, the goal for all of us in doing distance learning from the very beginning is to develop a sense of community. So we're going to do that by making sure that we have some sort of a reciprocal relationship with the parents, and really, really important of that in this platform, because we're going to be each other's allies. We need to work together. So I think as long as that is set in place, that's key for success this year. Parents need to do their part at home, and teachers, obviously, we're doing the best we can on our end, but we really need each other in this. And I think that's going to be key for us from the beginning to establish that sense of community in our classroom with the students, being able to talk to one another and engage and dialogue, but with parents and getting them involved and knowing that we are available to meet, to talk, to Zoom one-on-one with them, to help them along the way. We need that partnership. It's absolutely vital to make sure that this works. So I don't know if that is if that is part of what you wanted to hear. I'm really sorry I didn't get to hear all the details and the questions and the concerns, but I hope that was sufficient enough for what I was asked to do. If there's any other, questions, if you could message me and I can respond, or thank you for having me. And I just wanted to say that my husband is very LA, although he won't be now because he is a huge fan of Pastor Tate. And I really wanted to hear you too. And I'm really sad to get to hear you, but thank you for having me anyway.
Thank you so much, Caroline. I'm so glad we're making it work. And I think, I mean, we're a whole organization. All of us are professionals, and we are navigating difficult internet signals with one another. I can only imagine the challenges that teachers are going to have in the classroom. So we're trying to pull this off in an hour, and we've got tech people. There's about 4 or 5 people running around making this happen. So it really exposes the weight and the challenge that we're up against, and how the difficulties is going to be for parents trying to establish this in their homes. And honestly, a lot of parents, I don't know about some, but very few of us have one kid. Most of us have multiple. I don't know what we was thinking and why we did that, but we got several of them. I got 4 running around my house, and I got not one of them are in the same category. I got a high schooler, a middle schooler, an elementary, and a 2-year-old that we still trying to figure out how did he get here. So those are a lot of computers. That's a lot of internet usage. So navigating this season isn't going to be the easiest thing in the world, but I'm convinced that we could do it if we rally together. That's why I'm so thankful for a school district who take time in this season to talk with us. Rob Hammond, thank him so much. We will do it again for sure, because as we get into it, it's going to change. So we're going to come back and talk about some dynamics. And we're going to grab some folks from some other school districts as well, and some other educators, just to kind of coach us along. One thing that we don't want you to feel in this season is that you're by yourself. One thing we don't want you to feel in this season is that you are alone and you are in isolation. There are a lot of questions, there are a lot of concerns, there are a lot of challenges with technology, even as we've seen tonight. I believe every time we tried to put multiple people on the screen, somebody got voted off the island and they faded away. We don't know where they went to. If technology is difficult for us, man, we got to be praying for families and praying for students, but not just praying. We're going to show up. We're going to partner together, and we will get through this season, but how we're going to get through it is together. Well, we've got quite a few more questions that didn't get answered tonight, so we got to come back again. So I'm going to call y'all, and when I call you, don't ignore my call. Y'all pick up the phone, because along this year, along this journey, as we get through 2020, we want to support. And Dr. T, Caroline, Dr. Jackson, you're going to be hearing from us, because the Boys and Girls Club, Harambe, we want to partner with them, and we're going to be listening to you guys, listening for how we can help, and we're going to be showing up with resources and volunteers and all of that so that we can show up in this next season. So fellowship, get ready. We are about to get to work in this next season so that we can make sure that not on our watch will a generation be lost academically. We're going to make sure that we come together and we push our students to greatness. We celebrate our teachers, and we're going to make it through this year. Can I tell you one of the most important things? I'm glad we're doing this, because we get a chance to work out the kinks. We're going to be doing this several times. Sunday night, we're going to do a gathering, virtual gathering like this. But this time, it's really going to be centered on prayer and praying for our teachers. Everyone on that screen that you saw, we're going to be praying for them on Sunday night. There's an old saying that the old preacher used to tell me: little prayer, little power. A lot of prayer, a lot of power. No prayer, no power. Our teachers need our prayers. Our administrators need our prayers. Our students need our prayers. And Lord have mercy, our parents, the parents, they need our prayers. So Sunday night, we're not just gonna be praying for you, but we're gonna be celebrating you. You're gonna get messages. It's called Dear Teachers. And we're gonna have letters of encouragement and inspiration to our teachers, to our administrators, to our students as well. Prayer and encouragement. Sunday night, 6 p.m., right here on Facebook and on YouTube. Let's come back and see how many people get voted off the island. Prayerfully, we'll keep everybody on. But we're going to get through this season, friends. Be encouraged. You're not by yourself. As a local church and as Christians and believers, we're committed to the priority of our teachers in this season and their ability to pour into our greatest treasure. That's our children and the next generation. Thanks for tuning in tonight. Thanks for hanging out with us. Thank you to our superintendent, Dr. T, Dr. Jackson, Caroline, John Wilson, John DeCure, and Rob Hammond. Somebody go check and see where he is. We're so thankful, and we got just the Board of Education, just him making the time to be here with us was a really big deal. So thank you guys so much, and we will be back again for another town hall really soon. Until then, we'll see y'all Sunday night, 6 p.m. as we pray and encourage our teachers.